It was 35 years ago today that Continental Airlines Flight 1713 crashed while taking off in snowy conditions out at the old Stapleton Airport. The flight was headed for Boise, Idaho. 28 people lost their lives. The flight left an impact on families here and there and in our state too.
Yeah, it was also a crash instrumental in changing different flight procedures. 9 News reporter Luis De Leon explains.
The old control tower serves as a reminder of what the Central Park neighborhood once was. On the land of the old Stapleton Airport, the snow-covered rooftops are also a reminder of a day still ingrained in the minds of many.
I didn't wake up in the morning expecting to see what I saw and do what I did.
Including the mind of Joseph Petrofesso.
We all did something different at the time, you know.
Once again, you can reclaim your luggage.
In the 80s, Joseph says he was working the ramps at Stapleton.
Fine, I'd like to get to Sioux Falls.
Specifically for Continental Airlines, handling luggage, loading planes. On November 15th, 1987,
going home, and a supervisor asked if I could help with a plane that had went off the runway.
That plane was Continental Airlines Flight 1713, bound for Boise, Idaho. The plane had done more than just run off the runway.
Your heart, your stomach, everything jumps up into your throat, and you don't know what to expect.
An NTSB crash report on the flight said that there was snow and freezing temperatures that day. Visibility was low, so the tower was dependent on the pilots to say where they were.
In this case, the crew departed the gate without a taxi clearance.
9 News aviation expert Greg Feith has investigated plane crashes for decades.
So that began the ball of confusion with regard to the position of this airplane.
The plane did indeed go and get de-iced. However, 27 minutes passed before takeoff. Company procedures called for another round of de-icing if a delay exceeded 20 minutes. That never happened in this case. Feith says that, plus a rapid takeoff by the first officer, was a big factor.
He pulled back too rapidly and caused the nose to pitch up too fast. That in and of itself, with the contamination on the wings, ended up causing the airplane to get into an aerodynamic stall.
The plane was destroyed. Of the 82 people on board, 28 lost their lives, including both pilots and a flight attendant. Joseph says he and his co-workers helped first responders that night.
The snow plows were there first, and we got there at the exact same time the fire department was getting there. I was working a heater hose, and I had to sit on that hose and put it in there while they were getting the people out, you know, so the firemen wouldn't get cold.
A lot changed from Flight 1713. Feith says that includes de-icing procedures.
And how disciplined flight crews are now with having the aircraft de-iced multiple times if necessary.
He says communication between air traffic control and pilots also played a role in the crash. Technology today, of course, is much more advanced.
Out of that, we got ground-based radar for air traffic controllers to really see now where all the aircraft are.
The crash report also showed that the level of experience between the pilots were a factor. Feith says this crash changed the way that pilots are paired.
We've taken those lessons learned and incorporated it back into better training for pilots, better operational discipline for pilots, better oversight by airlines.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
As for Joseph,
you say a Hail Mary and you just move on.
He's retired now, but has a strengthened respect for aviation.
Do what you can, when you can, and to the best that you can.
For 9 News, I'm Luis De Leon.
Well, I remember that crash well. I was on call that day and got called in to come cover the accident. And back in those days, I mean, they would put you in a bus and they would take you, talking about the media, they would take the media right out to the crash site.
Yeah, that would never happen today.
It would never happen today. So yeah, photographer Kathy McKinnon and I were out at the crash site probably an hour and a half after the crash.
It was her first day.
It was her first day at Channel 9 too. Welcome to 9 News, right? Yeah, it was crazy.
What a tragic day, you know, and I'm sure it's so hard for the survivors because they have the survivor's guilt. It's most of the people that were towards the front of the plane, the pilots and the passengers at the front that were killed, you know. a baby, a 3-year-old. I mean,
Yeah.
really just tragic. But a lot came from that crash that changed aviation.
Yeah, I mean, especially the de-icing procedures and the chemical makeup of the de-icing, all that kind of stuff was taken into consideration, and it's all changed today, and it's mostly because of that accident,
Yeah.
that crash.
Terrible.
So some of the people who were first on the scene of that crash were the snowplow drivers and other maintenance workers at the airport. You can hear from some of them later today at 4 and 9 p.m.